What's up guys, Chigs here from Chigs Tech Reviews. So you might have bought or thinking to buy one of the new Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 smartwatches, and you want to know what the best settings are to achieve a comfortable battery life but without turning off all the features. Now I have already done a number of videos on these watches, but this one's going to be very useful if you want to make the most out of your watch. So it doesn't matter which one you've bought, you can use the settings that I'm about to share with you, and this video can also be useful for you even if you have some of the older generation watches, the Galaxy Watch 4 or even the Galaxy Watch 3. For this main example, we're going to be using the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. Now before we begin, I want to add, you're buying an expensive smartwatch for the features. So I'm not going to tell you just to turn off all the features for a longer battery. That would be obviously counterproductive. Instead, I'm going to explain to you what sort of battery life you can achieve using the various options inside this watch. Now, first of all, let's begin with the brightness. So you can see I have the brightness on halfway, and that's especially while I'm filming this video, but otherwise, this is where my brightness level would be. This is my sweet point. This is how I like to use it. Okay, that will give you a very good battery life. Also, auto brightness is switched off because auto brightness does consume battery life. At certain times, it will boost that AMOLED display right up to full brightness when you don't really need it, and that definitely helps drain the battery. Now the AMOLED display is actually very bright, so even at this level the brightness is good enough. It works very well for me while it's indoors. When I'm outdoors and it's very sunny, I do have to cover the screen a little bit, but I do prefer to do that as the benefit is a better battery life. Certainly better than turning the brightness right up and wasting the battery. Now the next setting to talk about is Wi-Fi. You can see I have Wi-Fi off. Just leave it off. Keeping it on auto, so if you press it once, it goes on auto. So that will still drain some battery. I like to leave it off. But if there is a time where you are going to use Wi-Fi, and in those occasions, it will alert you to switch Wi-Fi on, which is quite easy to do. So leave Wi-Fi off, it will definitely give you a better battery life. Location services, I just leave it on. I leave it on all the time. It's on by default. So whenever you initiate an outdoor workout or an app which requires GPS such as maps, you're going to need location services. One of the most battery consuming features in this watch is the heart rate sensor. You will see three options. Okay, measure continuously, measure every 10 minutes whilst you're still, or manual only. Now by default it's on measure continuously. If you leave it on measure continuous, you can expect an overall average battery life of up to 2 days. If you switch to every 10 minutes while still, then that average battery life boosts up to 3 whole days. If you select manual only, then the average battery life further boosts to just over 4 days. The optical heart rate sensor is, in my experience, very good, but it does consume the battery. If you bought this watch for the continuous heart rate monitoring, then of course you don't really have a choice, leave it on, but at least you know you're looking at 2 solid days of battery life even with that feature on, which I think is reasonably good. Now for me personally, I don't need it continuously on, so I can leave it on every 10 minutes whilst I'm still. But saying that, I'm only still when I'm sleeping, so there's never a time in the day where I just sit there and do nothing. That's really rare. I'm always constantly hands-on. I'm always moving. I'm always fidgeting. So yeah, I don't get that chance to stay still unless I'm sleeping. So the second option won't really make a difference to me. Unless you do get those moments to chill, watch TV and you've got your hands still and stuff, then yeah, you can leave it on every 10 minutes. It will give you a much better battery life. So for my own user experience, I could leave it on manual only. So massive battery benefit in manual only mode. So it does depend on what the individual requires. 3 options are there and you know what to expect in terms of battery life. Now another feature we do need to talk about is the blood oxygen monitoring. It's not continuous. So blood oxygen monitoring is basically manual. Monitor your blood oxygen whenever you need to, but there is an option for blood oxygen monitoring to be checked automatically during sleep. This feature is on by default, and yes, it does consume battery. If you don't need your blood oxygen checked during sleep, switch it off and you're going to see huge battery gains. But for me, I'm all right with that. I leave it on. It just gives you a better in-depth report of your sleep. So if you suffer from sleep apnea or any similar type of medical issue, keeping this feature on could be beneficial. And also the heart rate every 10 minutes while you're still. In other words, while you're sleeping, It will monitor your heart rate and your blood oxygen. Really good features to have. Again, it all depends on the individual. Snore detection is off by default, and I just leave it off. I don't need the watch to detect my snoring. Yeah, you save battery by leaving that off. Now, another cool feature, which I just need to find, here it is automatic workout detection. It is something else that consumes a little bit of battery life. It works in the background. It constantly monitors whether you are working out or not. And that smart feature does require some battery consumption, but it is on by default, so you can achieve your 3 days depending on what heart rate level you choose. I'm already in a habit to select my exercise before I go out. I just swipe left, swipe again, and it's usually walking or running, sometimes cycling. It's there for me. I just tap on it. So it's easy to initiate a workout. If you're someone that forgets, and sometimes even I forget to start a workout, then it's best to leave automatic activity detection on. So I'll explain how the automatic detection works. If you leave your house, so you're wearing the watch as normal, you haven't selected any activity or workout, after 10 minutes of your workout, or you're walking or running, the watch will vibrate or make a noise depending on whether your watch is on silent. If you look at your watch, then it will alert you and it will tell you what exercise it thinks you're doing. 9 out of 10 times it's actually accurate, and you basically accept it and it continues logging your workout, or you press cancel if you're not actually doing that workout. Now, there was one occasion where I was scrubbing the dishes. I was scrubbing a large pan after a delicious roast dinner, and it alerted me. It thought I was running. Yeah, it got it wrong then, but 9 out of 10 times the automatic workout detection does work. It's a pretty good feature. You can just leave it on. It's on by default anyway, and you can still achieve the 3-day battery life. But some of you out there might think that, no, I want a little bit of extra battery. I'm going to turn that off. I don't need that. So at least you know you have that option. So from my experience, the only thing that really affects the battery life in a major way is the optical heart rate sensor. So the 3 options you select will make a difference on the overall battery life. If you select every 10 minutes while still, that's going to give you a very good battery boost. That is the mode I have on. Measure continuously is not needed. I don't need that, but it's there. So if there's a day maybe where I'm not feeling well and the doctor asks me to measure my heart rate throughout the day, I could switch that on. So it's nice to have the option, but as it is, the way my lifestyle is, every 10 minutes while still works fine for me. Now, there are other tweaks to mention. If you go into sound and vibration, I have actually set my watch to vibrate, as I don't want my watch to make loud noises or beeps or even ringtones. It's the same with my smartphone. My smartphone is always set on vibrate. So the watch is actually better because you can feel the vibration on your wrist at all times. So yeah, it will save battery if you leave it on vibration. If you want it completely muted, that will save you even more. Now, other things you can do, if I go back to display settings and scroll down, you have always on display. Now, always on display is by default off, and I find that I personally don't need this on. If you do decide that you need the always on display on, you can then expect the overall battery life to drop down to 1.5 days. I know there are people out there who love having an always on display, especially on a super AMOLED screen. It does look cool, but you know that's the drawback. You're going to get nearly half the battery life. So definitely heavy battery drain with the always on display. Now, another tweak to mention is notifications, and you actually need your phone for this because you can't configure this on the watch. So it's a good idea to switch off irrelevant stuff that you don't want to be alerted about. I don't need to be alerted about playing Call of Duty on my watch. Even Spotify I don't need. Some of you may need it, but there you go. Fewer notifications coming through means better battery life. And it also means you're not getting disturbed by irrelevant notifications. So that is pretty much it. But ultimately, the 590 milliamp hour battery in this watch means you don't have to be too conservative with this watch. You can basically leave everything on and achieve close to 2.5 days of battery life. Fast charging means you're back to 100% charge in no time. In fact, I have a routine where I wear the watch 24 hours a day, and I only take it off when I go into the bathroom in the mornings for my daily routine, including shower. So I pop it on charge. 30 minutes later, it's nearly back to 100%. As soon as I'm ready, I put the watch back on my wrist, and it means I've always got a healthy percentage of battery life. My daily routine means my battery life lasts indefinitely. I don't have to leave the watch on charge for 2 hours. I just charge it 30 minutes every single day. I don't need to wear the watch in the shower. I know it's 5 a.m, but it's just something I don't need to do. So there you go. So the way I use the watch, from my experience, the watch will basically never die. Unless I go on a long hike or something, my daily routine keeps it going. So that was my quick video to show you guys the best setting to use on your brand spanking new Galaxy Watch 5 series smartwatch. In fact, what I've shared with you guys can also be used with your previous Galaxy watches too. You can see I've kept all my Galaxy watches, so I am a fan of the brand. Unfortunately, I have to buy them myself. The brand doesn't actually feel like sending me a review unit, but nevertheless, I buy it and I produce my honest review just for you guys. Samsung makes really good smartwatches, and after reviewing the Pro version, it stayed on my wrist. I haven't taken it off yet, so I like it that much. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.